What's going on, guys? If you're new to the channel, this is my 2018 Chevy Silverado, and obviously we're going to be talking about the range technology V4 module thing. And so let's check the truck out first though. Quick rundown on the truck, because the V4 mode is heavily affected by my actual setup of the truck, so we'll go over that real quick. Leveling kit, 3-inch MotoFab, no blocks in the back, so not very aerodynamic. 22 by 12 ballistic rage wheels and 33 1250 tires, so that already hinders V4 mode from working, because in stock form with stock tires and stuff, sure, it might work pretty good, but with these it's very confused. It's struggles to work, and honestly it just simply doesn't work enough to be worth having on there. So it's pretty much just a nuisance. True duals, no mufflers, so you can obviously hear it very loudly when it's in V4 mode. Since it doesn't work very much, it just hops in and out of V4 mode, but you hear like the super choppy tractor sound, which I'll put in a clip here. So as you can hear, it gets a little annoying when that's happening, and honestly when it goes back into V8 mode, it pops kind of loud. And so if you're cruising through town and you go to accelerate slightly, it pops out into V8 mode, and if there's anyone standing around or whatever, they think you're revving at them, and now you're like that 16-year-old kid that does that. So I don't like to do that. I mean, my truck's loud, I know that, I like the truck loud, but that doesn't mean I want it to sound like I'm revving at people and stuff when I'm obviously not. It's just V4 mode being confused and deciding it just can't hang on anymore, so it jumps back into V8 and it pops because you got 4 more cylinders firing up. So yeah, but since the wind's getting bad, let's go ahead and jump in the truck and let's talk about it. Guys, so we are obviously going to be talking about 1 year with the range technology V4 module delete, whatever you want to call it. It's not a true delete, but it does trick the truck into thinking it's under a load so that V4 does not kick in. All right, I'm going to show you all just how easy it is to install this thing. So got it right here. Obviously shut the truck off, no power to it. Reach up under here if I can find it. Push it in there, you'll see the lights. It is installed, and that's all you have to do if you want to take it off. Just unplug it, it's untraceable. About as easy as it gets right there. All right guys, so the range is in there, and you know, it's seamless. It honestly is. You can plug it in, you can unplug it. It doesn't go crazy or anything like that. If you're worried about the dealership not liking it, you just unplug it and you take it out. No big deal. So it's like, aside from the cost of it, there's literally no reason not to get it. We are going to talk about the one issue I've had with it, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I mean, it honestly makes me enjoy driving the truck more because it acts like a normal truck. It's not trying to be a 4-cylinder gas saver, which, I mean, let's be honest, we would all enjoy if our truck's got 100 miles to the gallon, but it's not. I don't want it a V4. I didn't buy a V4. I wanted a V8. I wanted all the time V8. So that's the big thing about it. So if you spend the money, get this, all your problems with that are pretty much solved, and it's not going to be trying to be V4 all the time and confusing itself and driving weird and feeling like the transmission's slipping and all the crazy things that come with going into V4 mode. So I highly recommend it, but it has not been without its faults. So apparently the early versions of this, through check engine lights left and right, supposedly the software is fixed. I don't know what version mine is, so maybe mine needs an update, but I would say about once a month mine will throw a check engine light. I'm 100% positive it's from that, because every now and then I do take it off, and it only does this when that is there. And I think it has something to do with remote start, because obviously the thing is plugged in there, and it's winter time. I do a lot of remote starts, and about once a month I'll go to remote start it and it won't work, and then that instantly I know it's got a check engine light, because the truck won't crank if it's super low on fuel or a door's open, or if it's got a check engine light. If it's got any kind of warnings, it's aside from a tire light, because mine's been on for a year now, but that's a different subject. But if it's got any kind of warning like that, it will not remote start. So I'll automatically know I've got a check engine light. And a couple times you turn the truck off, back on, it's gone. Other times it'll stay on for like a day and then it'll go off, even through a couple cycles of restarting the truck or whatever. But I've had one instance where it was genuinely scary and I was genuinely worried about my truck. So one time I did crank the truck up and it sounded god awful, and I was like, holy crap, what's going on? It popped up engine power low or something like that, talking about it's in like limp mode, basically saying that it was in low power mode. And I was freaking out. I believe it's possible maybe the module, I hit it with my foot or something and it was like not fully working, and it just completely freaked out the computer and it put it in limp mode. I was getting pretty daggone worried. I ended up just pulling the battery, disconnecting the negative terminal, letting it sit for 5-10 minutes, and then crank the truck up, and thank goodness it was back to completely normal. And this was a couple thousand miles ago, so I've not had it happen again. But there was that one time where something to do with the module, it had to have been, it freaked the truck out, and I was pretty worried that my truck was gonna have to go back to the dealership because it's done slung I don't know what inside the engine or something. I was a little scared. But aside from that, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And like I said, that might just be a software issue where I didn't have it up to date, or potentially I bumped it to where it was like kind of freaking out, and it was just one of them freak things. So hopefully that was the case. Hopefully it never does again, because I was really freaking scary. So yeah, but aside from that, it's been absolutely great. Listen, V4 mode was in. I barely touched the gas, it jumps out. I've got the module out for the second because I'm gonna do a little driving video kind of showing how it reacts and stuff back in V4, normal driving. So right off the bat right here, while cruising, we're going 45-ish miles an hour on these little roads. That's the speed limit. They're little hilly roads and stuff, and it honestly does try to jump in and actually work at these speeds. However, these being, slightly hilly and stuff, it struggles very badly to ever actually stay in it. So it kind of feels bad. I mean, it's genuinely just jumping in and out. Obviously with the exhaust, I can hear it every time it does it. And a lot of people comment on the Silverado page and stuff that are not familiar with V4 because they don't really advertise it much. I think it's just a gimmick that they have to do in order to meet the certain standards of fuel economy and stuff. A lot of people are unaware. I myself personally, I know it's kind of sad to say that, I was a little unaware when buying it just how exactly it works and everything. So a lot of people comment on the forums and stuff, and they're like, why does my truck feel weird when I'm cruising at like whatever speed and it feels like it's in another gear, and then I have the gas and it stutters and blah blah blah. See, it's in V4 now. I'm gonna breathe on the throttle back in V8. So if you're legitimately coasting or on the straightest, evenest road ever with no load, it works. So I will say I did some testing, and as far as what I can see, under a normal, mostly highway, I'm talking about just a pretty steady road that is about 55 miles per hour. So with my setup, which is leveled, baby squat, 22 by 12s, 33s, I notice about 1 mile per gallon difference in favor of the V4. So it greatly depends on how you drive, where you drive. If you drive somewhere where you're all the time having to go up and down hills or not flat roads or something, I don't think you're going to notice it at all whatsoever, because it's not going to work enough for it to actually affect it. It's not, to be completely honest, at first, I genuinely thought I would hate V4 mode and everything. It doesn't really bother me, honestly, aside from the shifting characteristics. So believe it or not, with the Range Technology module, it actually does significantly change the way the truck feels, acts, and shifts. So it really does like to hold on to gears better with the module in. Whereas when it's not, it's a lot more shift happy. So that might be a good thing to you or a bad thing. Personally, I like it when it holds a gear. I don't mind it lugging. I don't know, people might say that's good or bad for the engine, transmission, whatever. I don't know. I'm not a mechanic. I'm not an engineer. But as far as I'm concerned, I like it holding gears. I don't like it going in and out, downshifting every 3 seconds, stuff like that. So with the module in, it really does hold a gear and it just drives better. think some people are getting paid by Chevrolet legitimately go on YouTube and be like, you're crazy, it totally works. V4 mode saves me 10 miles to gallon, or gets me 10 miles to gallon better than if it wasn't engaged. And I'm just like, no, it doesn't. It can't. Like, maybe if your truck is completely stock, maybe if you're on the straightest or a downhill road for like 20 miles, then yes, maybe you can see a significant increase. I have a feeling most people watching my video at least have a leveling kit, if not at least just bigger wheels, bigger tires. It kills V4 mode, trust me. You know, like this with 33s, it does try, but it never can hang on to it. It never can, and it could, because you're losing half your engine basically. Like right now, we're going down that little hill. It's in V4. We are holding our speed, going up this little hill. So okay, so right here, the sweet spot, the faster you go, the happier it is, because obviously the truck's got momentum. So, but right here, see, as soon as we start going up this little hill, it hops out. So it's saving you these tiny, tiny little gaps where, I mean, how much are you going to save in a 30-yard span right there of it being in V4 mode? I mean, you're barely on the throttle for it to be jumping in there, so it doesn't really make sense that it would save you that much in the long run. But I swear there is people that would like literally die before they would admit that V4 mode does not actually save you a bunch of fuel economy. Well, we're pulling up at the house. I think I've pretty much covered all the bases. You know, if you've got this truck and obviously you're looking up a review for the Range, I would say definitely go for it. If you've got the little bit of money to buy it, definitely go for it. I know it sucks to have to buy, you know, a $200 part right after buying a brand new truck. A lot of people have said that the V4 does kill your engine eventually. There's a lot of people in the forums with like 50,000 mile 2017s and stuff, and they've had engine problems due to the cylinder deactivation and stuff. And so a lot of people want to get the Range. It's not a permanent solution. It's just kind of like a band-aid. It just tricks the truck into thinking it can't go into V4 mode. So you've still got all of those components inside the engine that it's based off of. The foundation of the engine has got that in there mechanically. So if you want to get rid of it completely, it's going to have a teardown, and that's obviously the best route to go if you want to get rid of it, but it's also the very expensive route. Some people I've seen on the forums talk about the Range badly, saying you don't want to have that because it's still got all the mechanical things in the engine and you're just telling it not to work, and if you don't let it work, then it's going to fail and all this kind of stuff. I don't know how true that is. I don't know how true the V4 tearing the engine up itself is, but I will say this: about once a month, I will unplug it and run the truck for a couple days with V4 working. That might be completely dumb, but in my mind, I'm like, well, there's two sides of the story. One, V4 is destroying my engine. V4 mode is not doing anything to my engine. And then you got the not using V4 is tearing up those components, or it's not doing anything to it. So either way, I'm going to majority of the time use the Range to not have to worry about V4 mode. But for a couple days out of the month, I will take it off and let it function, so it won't get gunked up, or, you know, I don't know what. It's probably dumb, but a couple days out of the month I do let it run normal V4 mode, trying to do its thing just to make it happy, make myself feel happy, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, but that's pretty much it about the Range technology. I mean, I would still, 1 year later, 10,000 miles nearbout, I would still recommend it completely. There's not a whole lot to say. I mean, it disables V4 mode. It shifts better. The truck feels happier. It feels like a normal truck. It costs you $200, but in my opinion, well worth it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think I got my money out of it for sure. Hopefully it does prolong the life if V4 mode is, you know, something that is self-destructive. So with all that being said, hopefully you did enjoy the video. Let me know if you have the Range technology device and how you've liked it, if you have the same kind of feelings as me about it. And yeah, if you're looking to buy one, I'll put a link to it in the description. Hopefully you did enjoy. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you on the next one.